Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Wildwood 27Rk. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera as well as a Lippert collapsible stair system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, you can contact your parts department. They can put together a quote for you. Also located at the back is your spare tire, and then you do have your cable satellite inlets as well as your black tank flush. The way that works is if you're noticing false monitor panel readings or just an odor around the unit, it flushes that tank out. But of course, reading that caution sticker first, it's just telling you that if you are using it, you do have to have your black tank valve open and your sewer connected. Failure to do so could expand that tank to the point of cracking, so just keep that in mind. City water connection, so if you're at a site with service, you can thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Then coming around to the driver's side of the unit, pulling that bumper cap off. It's typically going to be where you want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment. This spot here just helps keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. Just presses into place like so. I got your 50 amp twist lock connection. Loosen that guy off. 8th turn, pull it back. Just take a note of that silver strip there. It lines up with this silver strip on this side. Once you line those guys up, it pushes into place. You gotta firmly push it into place. 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that end back, you do have your standard 50 amp plug-in. Now, a lot of campsites may not have this, so that's why we do include this 30 amp dog bone adapter. Just keep it in mind when you are using the 30 amp dog bone adapter, you can't run 2 air conditioners at once, which this unit is equipped with. You can only run 1 at a time. So be mindful of that. And we also include a 15 amp park adapter to go down from 30. But whenever you're using that, you can't run any air conditioners. It really is just to run your fridge, your lights, charge up your battery. Coming a little further down the unit. First thing I'm going to mention, you got your gray valve for your galley here. That is going to be one of the valves you want to hit last. But we're going to go right up to the front here. Taking that cap, twisting and pulling it off. It's going to be the same ears your sewer hose have. They align just line up with the notches like so and twist and lock into place. And then you got your black valve and your gray valve. You're always going to want to empty your black valve first. It's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve. Just typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. And then of course you have that galley as well. So making sure you empty that one of those ones, that one last as well. You got one more outlet here that is just because you're pre-plumbed for a washer-dryer combo. You'd always have to have this cap off whenever you are using the washer. Failure to do so would cause a backup of water into the unit because the water would have nowhere to drain. So whenever you're using that, be mindful of that. Get your 2 low point drains. If you don't want water going stale or stagnant because you're leaving the unit for a while, open up these guys. It's going to drain most of the water that's inside the water lines out. And then of course for winterization, once you're done completely, it's always a good idea to crack those guys open, let any of the excess antifreeze out. Opening up this guy, you got your manual override for your tongue jack in case that were to fail for whatever reason. Whenever you're using this front storage compartment, just being mindful of any wiring that's around there. Coming around the front of the unit, you got your battery box located right at the front there. When you do have your battery disconnect switch with it in the on position like it is now, the battery is connected to the unit. Turning it to the off position would then disconnect the battery. In addition to that, it also disables the 12 volt system. So if you ever have lights that aren't working for whatever reason, just double checking you're connected. You've got your 2 propane tanks located underneath this cover here. Typically you just loosen off the tabs, flip open the cover. You do everything you need to do right from up top. But for the purpose of the video, and if you're ever needing to remove them, to fill them back up, just gotta pop that cover on. Get access to your 2 standard barbecue style propane tanks, selector valve at the front. Obviously with it pointing this way, you're gonna be drawing off this tank. If this tank were to go dry, closing it, flip it over to the other side, you can start drawing off the other tank, counterclockwise all the way like any standard barbecue, nice and slow. Opens up the flow of propane to the unit. You got your tongue jack, manual override up top. Coming around this side here, opening up this entryway mat, nice little thing we threw in there. You got your sprayer. You just take a note of those 2 notches there. It just inserts, twists, locks into place. You have sprayable cold water, and I'll show you where the outlet is when we get up. When we get back there, you got your starter kit. 10-foot sewer hose, which I've already told you about. Also comes with a 15-foot water hose, the 15-amp park adapter, and some other miscellaneous goodies. On the wall, you got your manual override for your stabilizer jacks in case those were to fail for whatever reason. A little light on its own center push button in case you need to see what you were doing. And then you have also a little light switch that turns on some accent lighting down the sides of the unit. You got your fresh tank fill. So if you're out boondocking and your campsite doesn't have water, put a garden hose in there, turn it on. That's what fills your fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Right down below the floor, the drain for it right here. Pulling the valve would dump all the water outside of the tank, out of the tank. On the wall here, you do have stabilizer jack buttons, front and rear. There's going to be another one at the rear. We're just going to go over the front today. Works pretty standard. Just keep it in mind whenever you use them, they are stabilizing jacks. They're not leveling jacks. Hitting the extend button, the feet would automatically start coming down to the ground once they contacted the ground. Once you hear the motors wind up a little bit, that's when you're going to want to let off, because you don't want to overdrive the motors or bend your legs. It's on an open gear system, so the feet can come down at different times. If they start doing that, they'll crank, just let them do their thing. Heard the motors wind up, so that's when you want to let off. Now you can just retract them. And it's the exact same. Turn on the motors, run all the way up. Once they contact the automatic flow, you'll hear them wind up a little bit. That's when you can let off, because they're all the way back up at the floor. Coming down the unit, some more entryway door we'll go over in a second. You are pre-mounted for a little outside TV. You've got a coax outlet for it, as well as a couple plugins. That sprayer nozzle port I told you about. Got your furnace exhaust, so whenever that's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Your rear stabilizer jack control, and then last but not least, you got your water heater, service port, power switch right here applies power to the thermostat inside. A couple things I'm going to go over first. If you've had a camper before and you did the winterizing yourself, you're probably going to remember having a tanked water heater, which had bypass valves at the back of it, which you wanted to bypass because you didn't want antifreeze going into it. This is the complete opposite. You don't bypass this because there shouldn't be any bypass valves behind it. And if there are, don't touch them. Turn the system off. Run the antifreeze through the system like you normally would. Once you've done your winterization process completely, just cracking this pressure relief valve, leaving it cracked open for the duration of winter. So that way, once that antifreeze starts gelling up during those really cold winter months, has a place to go and doesn't crack anything. Inside here, cracking this guy open. Got your mini fridge, runs off shore power, not 12 volt. Lifting that up, you got your little exterior grill, pulling that guy back. Got your propane quick connect line, taking the dust cap off, run it down to the ground, pull it through. You're going to notice the corresponding end over here, pulling that dust cap off, making sure you use the dust caps whenever you're not using the system, so that way you're not getting any debris inside there. Push it firmly into place, allowing it to click. Once it's locked in, you can open up the flow of propane. Now you can come and light your griddle, and all life would be good. As an added safety feature, you can't operate that coupler. You do have to close the flow of propane, which will allow you to unclip it, and then you can tuck it on into the side, back inside the unit. To get inside the unit, which is the best part, pushing the assist handle up, folding it 90 degrees, it's going to lock into place. It's going to allow you to open up your door. Then you can fold down your stairs. You do have adjustable feet just by pushing down on these buttons, counting the amount of holes that are showing. Lower that down to the ground. Taking a step on the side, first thing you notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, pretty much just like home. Hold it in and shoot. Now coming back here, big switch right in the middle, main living space lights. They are on dimmer. Up top, you got your monitor panel system. Pushing the button gives you the corresponding level. You do only have a black one, a gray and a galley. The black 2 isn't hooked up to anything. Water pump switch that draws out of your fresh tank. Then you got your awning lights, awning LED light switch, and as well as an accent lighting switch, which turns on some accent lighting inside the slide out. Next, you got your slide out button. Whenever you're pushing that, always making sure you know what's on either side of the slide, inside and out. Reason I say inside, things do tend to shift during travel. So always being mindful and visual that you're not getting anything caught inside there. It's going out nice and easy. And of course, just making sure on the other side you have enough room for it. Pushing and holding the out button, slide out's going to start making its way out. And once it's at its full extension, you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. So you heard the clicking, so you know you're at your full extension. Next, you do have your awning control. Pushing and holding that out, the awning is going to start making its way out. Always keeping an eye on wind speeds whenever you do put the awning out, because it doesn't to cause any damage to fabric or bend the arms. Unfortunately, today you're not going to be able to get it all the way out, but once you're at your full extension, you can see this little flap coming down another tube. Sometimes the flap can get stuck, so you do just have to retract it a little bit and put it back out, and it should fold down. If it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pulling down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now I feel like that angle better because it allows for more shade underneath. Just making sure you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just making sure you push these arms back to straight before you bring the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And bringing them in would be as simple as pulling the in button, and the arms would start rolling their way in, and once they contact the side of the trailer, they automatically cut out. And if you ever roll that awning in whenever it's wet, always at your next earliest convenience, trying to roll it out once it's sunny so it can dry up and not cause any mold or mildew. Pre-wired for a solar system. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact your parts department. They can put together a quote for you. JBL sound system control right over here. Hook up your phone, Bluetooth. Nice little feature. Next, you got your air conditioners. So the back one is obviously going to be for the back air conditioner. The front one's going to be for the front air conditioner. They do both work the same way. Pushing them once, they illuminate themselves. Pushing it again will get you into different modes. I am just going to show you can go into your fan, and you can run that air conditioner on either a high or low fan just to move some air around. No heating or cooling involved. You can cycle that back to off to turn it off. Go over to your mode, turn it over. You get cool. So now whenever you're in your cool setting, you're going to notice when you get into fan, now it says auto. You can change that room temperature whenever you're in one of the settings. You can just turn this around. It's going to either plus or minus it. Once you're into that, go back into your fan, you're going to notice it says auto, so it means an on-demand system. So once the room reaches its 33 degrees set temperature, it's going to automatically cut out the air conditioner. If you run that on either high or low, it's going to run full time regardless of what the room temperature is set to. One more time, I'll put you into heat, so that's going to kill the air conditioner, fire up the furnace, which does run off propane and moves all its air through the floor portals we have throughout the unit. And whenever you turn the furnace off, it does run for an additional 3 minutes and only does have one fan setting. That is it for that there. We'll take a step on into the bedroom next. Light switch on the left. Turning that on. You're going to notice right off the bat, looking at your stairs, you got that antifreeze inlet sticker. Pulling the 2 screws off on the top of the stairs. That's going to give you access to your water pump, where you're going to find that bypass hose and the bypass valve for winterization. All the windows in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. On the wall, versatile bed control. Down goes down, up goes up. You do have plug-ins on either side of the bed. Storage all around, and this unit does have tons of storage all throughout. Just always being careful of drained water lines and wiring if that applies. Up on the roof, you're going to notice you can open up these louvers, in which case it'll dump all its air into the main living space, or you can close them up, in which case it'll push its air through the ceiling ducting we have throughout the unit. These 2 little plastic pieces here, pulling on them, they'll snap out of place. That'll give you access to these two filters. It's your air inlet for the fan. Sometimes they can get pretty dusty, so just give them a quick blow with compressed air. Let's try and clean them off, keep the flow going. You'll notice this one is a fire exit, so it works pretty simple. Push it up all the way up as high as you can go. Then you can take the screen, pull it up with it, and hop on out of the unit. Like I said, tons of storage space all throughout this unit. Opening up this guy, you get a little closet space, but this is where you are pre-plumbed for a washer-dryer combo. And if you'd like to get set up with that, just contact your parts department and they can put together a quote for you. But back to the winterization note, the two valves at the back there, if you are winterizing yourself, even though you don't have the washer-dryer, when it comes time to winterizing, you have to make sure you do those. TV backer right here in case you were to want to mount a TV inside the bedroom. Coming up to your bathroom, notice this travel strap here. Always making sure this is latched if you're traveling, because if it's not latched, it allows it to slide back and forth freely, which can cause quite a bit of damage. So always making sure you do latch that up whenever you're driving. Stepping into the bathroom, the light switches on your left, turns on some lights. You also have a nice little mirror backlight on the wall, main GFI plug, reset in the middle, test on the bottom. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I would look. Up on this wall over here, you got your thermostat for your water heater. You can change it between Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button, up or down at any time to change your set water temperature. As an added safety feature, you're locked to 50 degrees Celsius right off the bat, just so the kids can't scold their hands. If you want to bump it up 5 degrees, you can. You just have to push the up button for 5 seconds, and it'll allow you to bump that up. But if you do have kids, just making sure you do bump it back down, and it'll automatically lock itself again. So if they didn't know that trick, they couldn't get the hotter water. Roof vent up top, clockwise all the way to open it up. You get your fan switch in the corner. It's going to start evacuating air. Now if it were to start raining and you left this open, it is going to get wet inside here. That's why we do sell max air covers here at the shop. Parts department would be more than happy to put together a quote for you. It's just a vent cover that goes over top of this. That's going to allow you to leave that open and run it whether it's raining or not. Nice little feature you can get installed onto your camper. Now taking a step on into the main living space. Your entertainment center. Noticing again another travel strap, making sure that TV is locked down. You don't want it breaking, of course. Storage beside, underneath, up top. Down below you got your fireplace, pretty simple. Power button on the far right. The button to the left of it does do your different frame colors. The button right in the middle does your different rock light colors. And then you got your different heat modes. Pushing it twice you get into low, pushing it one more time you get into high, and on the far left you got a timer that goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. In your slide out area you got your nice little desk space here with 2 chairs, 2 little bar stools, nice spot. You also have this set up now as you got seating area, extra seating area for the little table area, and you have a couch. The couch does fold out into a bed. You're just having to remove that side bolster, pick up on the foot of it. It's going to fold itself out, and then you can just fold it in when you're all done. Now, it is a Versa lounge, so what you could do is you could take this, pull it out of its stake pockets, bring it over here to the other side, moving these cushions out of the way. Being careful with the feet as they are metal, so they do rip things pretty easily if you're not careful. Find the stake pockets on the other side of the couch. Once that's locked into place, you have yourself a sectional. Awesome little feature I thought Wildwood included. Lights on their own center push button all underneath. Storage below the couch and everything as well, with some totes underneath. That again, Wildwood did include. Blinds in the unit again also work the same way. Behind you, you got your recliner chairs. You're going to notice again, you got some travel straps. Always making sure you do lock these guys down whenever you're traveling. That way they're not slamming around, causing damage, or getting caught in your slide out and causing you grief that way. Again, this air conditioner is going to work the same way as the one in the back did with the louvers. These louvers also, you can decide which ones you open and close just by playing with the one louver with the arrow on it. If you try and play with one of the ones in the middle, it doesn't work as well, so I always recommend using the one that has the arrow. Put your little air freshener back on there for you. Hot and cold water at the sink. Tons of storage space. Opening up this guy, it's a little fascia for your range hood and your microwave. Microwave just like home, not much I'm going to show you there. Little spice rack up top. Range hood. I always recommend running your range hood whenever you're running your stove, as it is propane, so you're evacuating as much of those fumes as possible. And because we're speaking to that, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, it just means you're getting worrisome oxygen levels inside the unit. So turn off the main supply of propane at the front, open up some windows and vents, get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Another note to add on to that, it is very sensitive to cleaning chemicals, so if you're cleaning around it, spraying any harsh chemicals, and it starts going off, typically it could just be that. But again, using your best judgment. Coming to your stove, pretty easy. Flipping that glass cover back. Before we get over to lighting the stove, I'm going to make a few notes about propane. So at the front, once you turn your propane off, and especially if you disconnect the bottles at all, it allows air into the system. Once air gets into the system, it does have to be purged out. Now the quickest, easiest way to do that is once you get to your campsite, turn on your propane because it's been off, come to your stove first thing, try lighting that first. You do have illumination lights as well as a little oven light underneath. Take this knob, sit it over to the high/pilot option, hit the igniter. It does fire up. Now I had the propane system running earlier, which is why it did fire up so quickly. Typically it can take a few seconds, up to a minute or two, to purge all the air out. So just be patient with it and don't get frustrated if it doesn't light right away. But whenever you have the propane on, always making sure you're hitting that spark every few seconds. That way you don't have any buildup of gas and then it can blow up in your face. I don't want anybody losing any eyebrows or eyelashes, and I'm sure you don't either. Once you do that, lighting your oven is still the same thing. Coming down here, turning it over to the high/pilot option, pushing and holding that knob in. Now the oven, for some reason, also takes exceptionally long to get lit sometimes, because the pilot does have such a small gas orifice. Again, just making sure you're hitting that igniter every few seconds with the gas on, because you don't want to build up the fumes. There you go. Once that pilot lights, just pushing and holding the knob in for another few seconds. Now that it can hold its own, without the button being pushed in, you can turn it up to your desired temperature, and it does fire right on up. Got your Furrion fridge freezer combo. Right down below, you got your temperature control clockwise all the way. It's going to be the coldest option. Anyway, before that is a warmer option. Then you notice some off-grid writing. That's just telling you the most energy efficient setting to run it on whenever you're on battery power. Charcoal filter on the far left. If you'd like to get set up with any more of those, just contact your parts department and they can put together a quote for you to get you a couple fresh ones. Underneath the fridge, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. Flipping that guy down. Whenever you have a breaker trip, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on. You can hit to reset it, and you have all your corresponding fuses on the right. Opening up this door here, nice little pantry space again with some more lights in there. And then you do have two outlets here in case you're doing some bookwork or anything here. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.